It's only been 2 games, but we've already got some amazing moments for the Denver Nuggets this season. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about the bench unit, and we're going to preview this upcoming week here on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thank you for so much for making us and being an everydayer and making us your first listen. As we begin the week here at Locked On Nuggets, very excited to get really into the flow of things, into the swing of things for this Nuggets team. There's a lot going on already, lots of ups, some downs, but for the most part, it's been a very positive start to the year. My name is Ryan Blackburn, host of Locked On Nuggets, also over at Mile High Sports and the Pickaxe and Roll podcast. He is Matt Moore, HP Basketball, the Hardwood Paroxysm, and Denver Dig Substacks, as well as the Action Network. We've got plenty of things to talk about today. Just want to let you know quickly, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. All right, Matt, we are going to have a lot of fun today. Going to start with things that are mostly positive, and I think that there's a lot of fun moments that we've had for the Denver Nuggets this season. When we were kind of going back and forth on what to do today, what moment came to mind first when you thought about positive moments, best moments for the Nuggets in their first week?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I was kind of thinking of it from them in terms of like, what have you seen that you're like really positive on and are excited about? And I think for me, a lot of it is how great Jamal Murray has looked. And so there isn't like a signature moment, but I mean, last night I think maybe the shake and bake that he gave and knocked down the 3-pointer in that third quarter was a great one, right? And just like Jamal's energy and the excitement that he has played with, and the physical, he's just present, man, and he's making that really be felt. So I'm excited about that. That's been really, I think, great. Obviously, like if we're talking about the moment, it's AG's dunk.
Yeah,
it's a 360 in-game alley oop. That's, I mean, it's stupid. Like that is a stupid dunk. Absolutely ridiculous, which is crazy because like it completely overshadowed the fact that Peyton Watson caught a body, caught Common Malwatch and just like buried him. So 2 incredible dunks in that game. And I think there's a lot to be positive about with this Nuggets team. Most especially is the fact that they do feel like as much of a wagon offensively as we hoped that they would.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. There's so many different ways that they can attack, especially on that offensive end. You mentioned Murray. The word that I wrote down for Murray was poise. Like it just feels like he's in control, right? Like there's never a moment where it's felt like he's been out of control where like there's a couple of decisions that he's made every now and then where, okay, you'd like to have that pass back, a bad turnover, but there's a bad pass that every playmaker has in the NBA today. And it just feels like the decision-making and the buttons that he is pressing on a consistent basis are the right ones. And I also wrote down his 3-quarter court heave, which we didn't even talk about on the last show. Like, just it's amazing that it no longer, or I don't remember if we talked about it on the last show. I don't think we did, but it's amazing what you can do if the shot doesn't actually count, if it's just a team attempt. It's amazing that I think we're going to see that a lot, and pretty emblematic of the way that the rest of the NBA, I think, is going to handle those end of shot clock looks and end of game looks, end of quarter looks. The 360 dunk I wrote down. I also wrote down Aaron Gordon's pull-up threes in Golden State. I didn't take a lot from Golden State in terms of moments specifically, but I mean, it's 50 ball. Like there's no question about what the best part of that game was. And I think the actual reason why it was so good was because he was just like unguardable from 3 somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just great to see this continuing for Aaron, and you want to see him continue to play like this continuously. I think the other things that have been really positive and exciting to see early has been just like the bench feels like it's going to be functional.
Yeah.
You know, JV was -5 yesterday, but it didn't feel like a catastrophic -5. And they were so good in the first game. It's like, okay, the early returns are the bench is not going to be an inhuman catastrophe. It's not going to be the Hindenburg. It's not every single night being like, hey, the Nuggets were up 15 and now they're down 5 as Jokic returns to the game. And it's just going to make for a lot less stress for the team and the coaching staff and the players and the media and the dance team and Rocky and Scott Hastings and Vic Lombardi and Swipa and everyone will just feel a lot better. Grace Marlowe, like everyone will feel better, I think, with this bench unit being on the floor.
Shout out to Rocky, by the way, for hitting his half-court shot on the third attempt. I pointed to Vinny. I was like, it's this one. And then he hit it on that very same attempt. It was great. I love, like, we'll get into the bench unit specifically a little bit more in segment 2, I think. I really loved the crowd cheering Bruce, every time he was doing something amazing. Like it could have been large, it could have been small, but it was just a momentum shifting play a lot of the time. And the crowd just gets behind him so much. It was actually like really heartwarming to see how well he was received, both in the pregame introductions, but also just watching highlights right before we popped on for the show today. And he had a layup in transition and the crowd goes, Bruce, which is amazing. It's just like of all the things.
I have a few more. So after the game last night, Tamar Bates' family was in the locker room taking pictures and meeting everybody. And there was just like, it's such a family atmosphere in there now. And I think that's really cool. Kids are running around. It's pretty great. And then an unnamed Nuggets player was joking with PR, asking them if it was okay if they bet on college basketball games, if they were allowed to, and stressing out PR. And that was amusing to me. I enjoyed that. The vibe has been really good. I think one of the things that's interesting about the vibe after the game was, you know, I think it takes a while for you to learn how to not get too up. I think not getting too down is easier for athletes. I think not getting too up is harder. And they were just very comfortable last night. It was just like, yeah, played well, got the win, should have won, played well. That's it, you know? And it was very relaxed, which I think is really good for at least starting out the season to kind of manage it that way.
I asked Bennett Durando of the Denver Post, how the locker room was post-game on the road. And he said it was fine. Like there was no stress. There was no, it's game 1 of the season, obviously. You might feel a little bit annoyed at the way that the result went, but it just felt like they were more disappointed that they couldn't win that game for Aaron Gordon specifically with the performance he had, as opposed to, oh man, let's call people out and say what they did wrong. Like that's not a good idea, which was a problem in the previous locker room for what it's worth. I think that, like you said, it's just going to be more positive. It's just going to be a little bit more even keel. And that is going to keep the pressure, as you mentioned, and just the relaxation so much higher, and being able to get through what is a long process of a season. Like these guys know how to do it. That's the thing that they brought in. They brought in veterans who have gone through this process on several occasions, know how to manage their facts and feelings. And it does seem like a really good sign. Again, 2 games in, but through 2 games to be 1-1, like they're 1-1, but I still feel very good about where they're going to go.
Seems right.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to discuss the bench unit a little bit more in depth. I think that there's more that we can pull on with that thread, and I want to talk about their identity next here on Locked On Nuggets. All right, folks, let's talk about Monarch. Let's be honest. Most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth, because 401ks, savings, and investments, it's just easy to lose track. And that can mean leaving money on the table, which is why I started using Monarch. an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch really helped me organize accounts, save and game plan for different money things. I'm trying to just get a little bit smarter about what I'm doing on a consistent basis with my money. And the best way to do that is to understand what you have and what you don't and what you need. And I think Monarch's visual dashboards, their smart tools, they make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. We're also brought to you today by Game Time. Basketball season is officially here. Nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. Let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets, fast, easy, and stress-free. There's a great season opener for the Nuggets at home just now. You could cheer on Bruce with everybody if you want to. So many different ways. There's also a pretty good football game for the Broncos that happened earlier today. If you want to get in on that, the zone deals for Game Time, they make things a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On NBA as your code for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. All right, we are back. Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, folks. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Matt, I wanted to really focus in and hone in on the bench unit. We've done it a fair amount because it is so important for this Nuggets team. It is like there's not a lot of questions, I would say, with the starters. It's more about, okay, is Cam Johnson going to get up to speed? Is Christian Brown going to take threes? How's Aaron Gordon? Is he going to be healthy? What's Jamal Murray going to be like? But those are questions that will get pretty easily answered, I think. The ones that we didn't really know that much about were the bench and how things were going to flow into place. And you brought up first segment, you think it just makes sense. You think that there's a lot that you have liked from that second unit.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see how their identity evolves. I asked Bruce last night, like, what do you think the identity of this team is going to be on the bench? And because I mentioned, I was like, in that first one, the 2023, it was you and KCP and Christian getting stops and running. And he was like, I think it'll probably be the same with this one. And I'm kind of like, really? Because you got Jonas Valanciunas on that unit. So I am kind of excited because I see Jamal getting a lot better separation than he used to get with the other bench units. And how much I love DJ.
Yeah.
And DJ really is a great screen setter, but Jamal never felt really comfortable with DJ. And he feels very comfortable with JV, and that's evident. And JV understands how to set a good screen at the right angle. They're creating really good, even the shots that JV missed last night, they're all good looks. JV knocks down 2 open jumpers and they are high quality looks for him. And that -5 goes to a -1. That's the difference really in that kind of stretch that he was in. I think he's going to have a lot of good nights. I think they're still trying to figure out. I do think this is kind of one of the interesting things about it is I do think Bruce wants to push because Bruce is used to fullback dive. And Peyton wants to get out in transition because he's such a great athlete. But Jamal and Jonas, I do think kind of have a confidence in their ability to run a half-court set. So I will just kind of be interested to see how that kind of balances out. And one of the things that I will say is Adelman really, it's not like any sort of life-bending idea. It's an old NBA adage, but I do think it's interesting. He said he wants to run at home and slow it down on the road. So I think tomorrow night's a great example of this, where if Jonas is going up against an undersized second unit, Naz Reid, Julius Randle, Yoan Baronier, then there's an opportunity or there's an opportunity for JV to get going in the post. And Adelman said, I want to get JV more involved in the post. So we have to kind of do that. And I just think it'll be really interesting to see what happens when they start feeding Jonas in the post and then working off of that while they're also able, I think, to defend at a higher level. There are situations where Jonas's drop defense is going to be a limitation, and they're going to give up a lot of stuff, and that's okay. That's the second unit. Like one of the things I thought was really interesting yesterday was the Nuggets were pressing full court with Peyton Watson, as a lot of teams are doing now, against Booker. And what they did was they ran a backcourt screen with Oso Ighodaro. It was a moving screen, by the way. I love Oso, but it was definitely an illegal screen, and Peyton was right to be upset about it. And so Book comes off at this is at 60 feet. So now it's a jailbreak with Booker with nobody in front of him, because Jonas is back in the paint because that's where he should be. So Jonas steps up, but Bruce is also oh crap, Jonas is going to be back, so I got to step up. So they both jump up, and they creates a corner three. And that's an easy communication that they can figure out. But what I am just going to be interested in is what pace and how much space this team plays with in those second units. Those are the kind of things I'm interested in seeing over the next couple of weeks.
It does feel like it's a lineup that, unlike what Bruce is saying here, it is a lineup that's built to be more slow, that's built to be more half court focused and being able to run different sets. And when you call different things, you can either Jamal can generate a switch and then he feels like he can go to work, or Jamal, there were a couple of times he threw the ball into Jonas in the post, as you mentioned. And there was one in the first half where Jonas saw he had a rookie Kaman Malawach on him and decided, I'm going to go through the rookie, and absolutely did. It was awesome. It's as you like to call a kaiju battle. I think that when Jonas is able to do that on a consistent basis, it slows everything down and it gives the Nuggets a comfortable place where they know that, okay, even if other things aren't working, even if you're getting turned over a little bit, there are a couple times where Tim Hardaway lost the ball out of bounds, Bruce Brown lost the ball out of bounds, or got his pocket picked or whatever. Those are going to happen on occasion. But if you get the ball into Jonas Valanciunas, he's generally pretty good with that and is going to get a shot up or is going to draw two. And that to me is at least a really nice fail-safe when all things are getting a little shaky.
Do you want to see them? Do you want to see that bench unit take more of a half court approach or a full court approach?
It just kind of depends on how often they are forcing turnovers, in my opinion. If they're, I don't think they're going to be a team that gets stops and run. I think they're going to be a team that gets turnovers and run, where they are kind of in an already out of balance situation, because they just don't have the, Peyton Watson is a good open court player, obviously. Bruce Brown's a good open court player. But Murray, you don't want to have him also be kind of the captain of, hey, I got to push the ball now in this unit with the second unit.
Good call.
Just because he's going to have so many games where he's playing 35, 36 minutes a night.
Yeah.
I think that he will be better when the Nuggets are slower, and it will also save their legs, man. If it's something that they practice during the season and they try to use it as a principle that they can go to every now and then, but it's really this is an emphasis for the playoffs. This is every time you get an opportunity to run, you absolutely have to kind of thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Beyond just the 9 guys, we saw Spencer Jones as a defensive sub. We saw, we didn't actually really see Julian Strawther until the garbage time. What situations do you envision them going to more than hey, here's nine guys plus Spencer Jones on a very specific defensive sub? What are the opportunities for Julian Strawther, Jalen Pickett, Zeke Naji?
Back-to-backs, injuries, and blowouts. That's it. I think that there is a kind of a sense with this team of, look, we have high aspirations and we can't really mess around. And I do think that it's one thing to let some young talent grow into it, but I think one of the enduring lessons from last year is you can't ask Nikola to put up with too much. Is you better be a pretty buttoned up professional squad with low drama and not a lot to deal with. So this is where it gets tough though, because it's how do you extend the window? right? Because this is always the challenge, is like you're going to have to develop. They may need Julian Strother. They may need Jalen Pickett. They may need Deron Holmes. They may need these guys. And the only way for them to improve enough is to get those opportunities. And their idea is like, there will be opportunities because in the course of 82 games, there's an opportunity. But the difference there is like, okay, but what? So let's say Tim Hardaway Jr. Has to miss a couple weeks with an ankle.
Sure.
Just like 2 weeks with an ankle. That happens.
Standard.
And Julian steps in and plays really great. And then Tim comes back. Does Tim lose minutes because Julian's played so well? Can Julian still be as effective if he's not playing as many minutes? Because like this is a real thing. Is like a lot of guys. And Joel Embiid talked about this the other night. You can't like. It's very hard to come in and have an impact in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Spencer Jones says, "Hold my beer," but like most guys, especially offensively centric guys, they need to be able to settle in
rhythm.
Yeah. And so I don't know what those opportunities are going to be like. You'll have opportunities for you to grow and showcase yourself, but they're going to evaporate as soon as the Nuggets get back to full health, if they get back to full health. So it's good to have the insurance policy, but I also, I don't know what their development plan is going to be at this point for guys like Julian Strother, Jalen Pickett. Deron Holmes is going to go to the G League, but I don't know. I don't know what that process is going to be like. We want them to have more veterans than they do, but if they're only going to run 9, that means that there's just not any minutes for those guys to have any time to work on, even 5 minutes.
The funny thing is, I remember thinking back during the offseason and thinking, okay, they got Cam Johnson and Bruce Brown on the first day. Then they added Jonas Valanciunas. I'm like, wow, I really see this 9-man rotation coming together. And then they added Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm like, well, they got him too. I'm kind of surprised by that. How did they manage to do this? And then I started really thinking about it with the Julian Strother part of the equation. You didn't really add a 10th guy. You just replaced your 9th one, I think. And that is going to be because they're very similar players to each other. It's hard to have 2 gunners out there at the same time when they both will have some defensive struggles. Tim, I think, he's done pretty well defensively so far, but he could still get picked on. And Julian, we know, is going to get picked on when he's out there. So it's tough. It's one of the reasons why Spencer Jones has carved out the role that he has. But again, this will shift over the course of the season. Any other parting thoughts on the bench unit?
No, I'm good talking about the bench.
All right, let's take one final break. When we come back, we're going to discuss the upcoming week, and we're going to debut a new segment here on Locked On Nuggets. All right, let's talk about FanDuel, folks. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel they give live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that last little push. I was like, not just in the same game parlays. I like doing the round robins for all of the different games that are happening. Just picking one little thing, you can keep track of the actual schedule and keep looking down at the phone and say, "Wow, I'm surprised. Hey, DeAndre Hunter hasn't gotten enough threes for this upcoming game." Or, "Wow, Giannis had a big game. Those points, rebounds, and assists came in clutch today." Right now, FanDuel gives new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. All right, final segment, Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. We are going to debut a new segment here every Sunday night. Matt and I, as we often do for this show, we like to preview the week, but we're going to do it a little bit differently this time. And we're going to start with the preview. We're going to start trying to really focus in on what the game schedule is going to be like, how the Nuggets are going to play. And then we're going to do Jinx of the Week. Matt, you want to fill them in?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is no jinx because we never jinx anybody. So we're going to go ahead and give you what we're definitely not jinxing because we wouldn't do that. We're going to do that here in just a little bit with an obvious target with a team that has been quite a pain in Nuggets fans' sides over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. So Monday night, obviously, if you're listening to this on the audio side, you're probably listening on the same day that the Nuggets will face the Minnesota Timberwolves on the road. Now, Minnesota, second night of a back-to-back. They also didn't have Anthony Edwards for the final 45 minutes of their game today.
He's not going to play.
He's out with a hamstring tightness or something, or soreness or something of that nature. Probably a safe bet that he's not going to play. Obviously, that's a great no jinx take. That game, by the way, is on Peacock. I'm curious to see what that platform is going to be like. Have you tried Peacock yet?
I have. It's phenomenal. It's terrific.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to the prime layout, especially when you connect your NBA League Pass to it. Perfect. Incredible. Really great stuff from them. The NBC broadcast at the beginning was awesome too. Okay, so we've got Minnesota on Monday night. That's a road game. Then Denver comes back for a Wednesday night home game against the New Orleans Pelicans. And then on Friday, Halloween, they go out to Portland and start the in-season tournaments, the NBA Cup on Friday night. Those are the only 3 games that we will be seeing this week, Matt. How do you see it going for the Nuggets?
This looks to me a lot like a 3-0 week. That's what this looks like to me. The Anthony Edwards injury changing a lot of the dynamics. That's a bummer because, we'll get to it, but you really want to see them break the Wolves' dominance over them as of late. That Pelicans game is going to be actually, I think, the toughest ones. The Pelicans game, I think, is I think they're actually sneaky pretty good. And that's going to be
early, right? Like early in the season where they've got their guys.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like to project injuries. We don't know. Human bodies are weird. So yeah, I like a lot of what I've seen from them. I was Jeremiah Fears was absolutely lost in preseason and then looked great in the opener and has looked good early. He's actually looked like he's got some verve to him. He's got some kick. Trey Murphy the third, Zion's obviously Zion, CJ. I keep telling people Jordan Poole could shoot, and he's shooting and he's making them.
Yeah.
So that game I actually think is the biggest worry mark because Ant is out. And then the Trailblazers game, they're tough, they're scrappy, but I don't think they have enough offense to hang with Denver, even at home. So I think this is a good chance. This is a 3-0 week.
That would be great. There's a chance it's a 1-2 week though. Minnesota has always had Denver's number, and just because they don't have Anthony Edwards doesn't mean that they can't initiate offense in a good way. Julius Randle's been very good against Denver pretty much every single time they've played. And Naz Reid is an extremely dangerous player, especially against the Nuggets that like to drop, that have kind of 2 plotting bigs in the middle. And I just don't know how they're going to really focus on Naz Reid in those situations. It wouldn't surprise me if he rattled off 6 threes in the game on Monday.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what it ultimately breaks down to. But I want to hedge and say 2-1 because I am a coward. But I think that they're probably going to drop one of them. But I mean, look, it is one of the reasons why we predicted them to go kind of 20-8 or somewhere in those first kind of 28 games or so, where you really get off to a great start. You really sort of take advantage of the fact because this is a pretty soft schedule, especially without Ant. So they should be able to get it done. I don't see any way that that sort of flips on its head. No jinx is oh great. Minnesota Timberwolves dominance over the is this your jinx?
This is the jinx of the week. There is no way the Nuggets can get past the Minnesota Timberwolves even without Anthony Edwards. I mean, come on, they've owned them in every single matchup. And I'll tell you, what's really difficult is without Anthony Edwards, they're going to play an entirely different style. And that just makes it all that much hard. How do you game plan for it? How do you game plan for the Wolves that Anthony Edwards? You can't. You can't do it. So I can't see any way that they're going to be able to beat this Minnesota team on Monday night.
I don't see any way it happens, Matt. There's just no way that they rectify all the wrongs that they've established previously, that they figure things out. I think I will go with another personal one for let's say the Wednesday game. I think that they beat the Pelicans by 35 points.
You're jinxing the Nuggets in this case.
I like again. Is this the okay? So they won't win by 35. They'll only win by a
That's what you want to do. See, what you just did is you just jinxed the Nuggets. This is much like you being like Aaron Gordon is the greatest jump shooter of all time, and then the man missed 5 straight threes.
This is why the people love me though, because they know it's all like they know that they can have an active like hate, and then I will flip it on its head when the Nuggets are down at halftime.
What we really need to do with you is we need to find out who's the most annoying player to you amongst these 3 teams.
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a better one.
That's a great question. I have more respect for Rudy Gobert than I think a lot of people would expect.
He's earned the respect of Nuggets fans.
100%. He is. It's annoying how good he is defensively, and surprisingly offensively when the pass gets through. I will say Tumani Camara.
Really?
Tumani Camara. That dude, like as amazing and pesky of a defender he is, I watched him flop so hard against James Harden at the beginning of the second half in this last game tonight. That's like James just gave a little gentle push, and Tumani, like as wiry as he is, it looks like he's getting like Mr. Elastic like whipped like behind like just falling to the ground from how strong James Harden is. So I can absolutely guarantee Tumani Camara is going to piss me off in that Friday game.
As I build this out at youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets for the official Jinx of the week from Ryan Blackburn. There we go. Tumani Camara will draw 4 charges in the game versus the Denver Nuggets this week. As a reminder, Jinx of the week is meant to be only in fun, and we don't want anyone hurt, obviously, because we're not monsters. This is supposed to be a fun exercise because this is no jinx, and we never, ever, ever jinx anyone.
Debuting a new segment, we will come up with more fun and interesting ways to get the people ready for the upcoming week. I'm saying 2-1. Matt's saying 3-0. I think it'll be a fun week, like more so than anything. I think this is going to be a fun week for the Nuggets. Any final takeaways before we get out of here, Matt?
Nope. Except for another week of Nuggets basketball. We're on a roll. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. That is going to do it for this episode of Locked On Nuggets, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. Hit that like button and subscribe button on the way out. We will talk to you guys tomorrow night.
Tumani Camara. What a weird target.